Hello and welcome into the Knicks Syndicate pregame show with George from Into the Knicks-Verse and Keese from Sports Vibes TV. How's it going, Keese?
I'm good. I just made a rookie mistake by having a YouTube playing while I'm also listening to you. So the beat from the song was actually going a lot longer than I had anticipated. But I'm good now. How's everything with you, George?
I'm doing good. It's been an interesting 40-something hours or less, actually. Friday night's game against the Miami Heat was a pretty dramatic game, and the fallout has been even more dramatic. Shrapnel is flying everywhere.
Yes, battle with the fans.
Yes. First, sorry we got off to a late start here. And it took a little bit to get things together, but we are going to have an interesting show today. We're going to preview the game against the Pistons towards the end. We usually do that in the last 10, 15 minutes of the stream.
Quit lying to him, George.
Yeah.
You do that 5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, 5 minutes into the game, we start doing that. That's how we've been doing it.
Yep.
But what we're really going to focus on is an interesting event that's happened, which is it seems like some revisionist history is going on, but that's my opinion about that. But the actual facts of what's happening, we're going to discuss Thibs, his post-game interview, the traditional media and its approach to it, its response to it, and then the social media response to the Thibs response, his attack. Basically, Thibs attacked social media in the post-game interview the other night. And before we get into that, shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. UBG, Juan Ventura, Adrian, Reality.
I said Realty too the first time I read it.
Maybe that's what you put it in my head.
It's not just me.
Adrian, Reality. Jay Fuego, excellent. Thank you guys for joining us today. And let's just talk for a few minutes about the actual game Friday. Just a few minutes about that. I did a whole post game and everything and stuff. What I'd love to hear is your feelings about it.
Well, I think to close the game, it was great to see some of the young guys out there playing hard on defense and playing together. We saw Emmanuel quickly. He erupted in the fourth quarter. He had 20 points, and we saw him, be able to score in a multitude of ways. She had the whole tool bag out during that game. He was able to break defenders off the dribble. He was able to show, he wasn't the typical, floor general that we expect to see from the point guard. But what he was able to do, he was able to be efficient and he was able to make the right decision. So I love seeing that from Quick. You saw Deuce. He's getting more minutes, especially in the clutch. What did he play the entirety of the fourth quarter?
Yes.
Yeah, he played the entirety of the fourth along with Quick. And those two together, we've been saying it time and time again, they're dynamic and this team plays much better when we see those two paired together. So hopefully we can continue to see that. We've been screaming for it the entire season and we're getting receipts. The last three games we've watched, we've gotten receipts showing that what we've been saying has been true, that the young guys, they bring that energy, they bring that defensive intensity that we don't really get from some of the vets. So, if Thibs, being a quote unquote defensive coach, doesn't see that those guys are the ones giving him the most effort out there, then, I don't know what to tell him, but he's going off on us in social media. And, instead of understanding where he might have gone wrong, he's now trying to deflect. So to me, it was frustrating listening to Thibs during that post game, especially after watching everything we've discussed here on your channel, on my channel. What happened?
You jumped right into the Thibs thing.
My fault.
No, it's good. It's good. I just wanted to pause you because I don't want you to blow your wad right now.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, exactly. Right? As we like, honey, slow down. All right, we're gonna have fun today.
UBG Axe has the starting five been released for today. It hasn't been released, but Thibs did say Mitch was starting.
Oh, Mitch is starting. Okay, good.
Yeah, so I would assume it would be the same for, OB. Well, it depends if Randall's not
Randall
playing.
is a game time decision, so we're down to it.
Yeah.
So,
hopefully he doesn't play. This would be a soft landing for him, though. I think he will play.
Dude, this is the perfect day to take off. Just chill.
No, it's
one
not.
more day for him.
George, think about it. The next team we play is the Chicago Bulls. If I was the organization, and we've said time and time again that they're trying to protect him, and in many ways, it makes more sense to have him return against a team like the Detroit Pistons, only won 20 games, than going up against the Chicago Bulls, who won I believe 42 or something of that nature.
That's a great
point. In that ballpark. So
yeah.
I expect them, if he's quote unquote healthy, he's gonna play today.
I think that's a great point. I was thinking more selfishly.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully,
right.
He doesn't play,
point.
But
it probably is smarter, even for the long term of the franchise. Because, like we said earlier in the previous post game, that we want Randall to come back this season, just maybe with only like 5 games left, and show that he's still got that game. He can still be that guy.
He's got value.
He's got value, raises value. But good point. Though coming back against the Bulls, the first game would be rough.
And we expect them to win today, or at least I do. So if he were to come back against the Bulls and then we lose, social media will be at uproar once again.
Yeah. The only downside is he comes back and Jeremy Grant just owns him. That would look really bad.
That's true, but Julius Randle normally steps up when he's going up against Jeremy Grant. So we can't give him that. Same thing with Sabonis. Those are two guys that Julius Randle always gets up for.
Absolutely. If you're joining us a little bit late, because we got started late or whatever, we are going to address Thibs and social media directly. We just did a little recap. Wanted to hear Keith's thoughts on the actual game on Friday. And if you haven't watched Keith's film breakdowns that he posted yesterday and today on the actual gameplay, the first one was IQ specifically, and then the kids. Fantastic. Gotta watch it. And it's a direct indictment, or it would be the fans exhibit A in the trial against Thibs, basically. Yeah,
that's a good one, George.
Thibodeau. Yeah. Well, hey, salute Geraldine. Good to see you. Foxy is he's chilling, but he will be on tonight with Keith in the Sunday stream, correct?
Sunday stream at 8 p.m. Geraldine. So make sure you're there. You can chop it up with Foxy and I as we talk more Knicks.
Yeah. And Foxy and I will do another college draft show soon. We haven't scheduled it yet, but it's we do have the follow-up show on that. So we'll be tackling that. And all right, let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. So Thibs gaslighting or truth-telling? So just put these up. I'm not going to put the whole post-game interview. I'm sure by now all of us have watched it, maybe even more than once. But just to kind of recap it a little bit, summarize it, Tom Thibodeau responds to those that critique the Knicks' rotations. Just to give you guys a taste of what he said, if you didn't hear it. Quote, how many people are watching the game after the game is played to really know exactly what happened in the game? I see a lot of opinions, but I don't see a lot of people doing the work to actually study it. Well, you're looking at two guys that do. We actually do that, and I can speak for the chat. I mean, we have some of the best fans, most learned, knowledgeable fans who live and breathe this stuff. So I'm wondering exactly who Thibs is talking to right there, because he's definitely not talking to the core fans, the really hardcore fans like us.
I think we are the ones that are most vocal. I think he is talking to us, George.
Yeah, see, that's what
kind of pissed me off.
Yep, but it's
like
a little
he's condescending and he's arrogant with it. Yeah. And it kind of shows us why this team has struggled this season. For him to say that, Knicks fans, we only watch the game once and that's it. We love our team. We aren't getting paid millions to coach. We aren't getting paid millions to play. We watch and we create content and we tune in and day out because we love the team and we're passionate fans. So for the head coach to talk about us like this, to me, it was extremely disrespectful, especially when we try to be as respectful towards, Thibs and his coaching tenure here with the Knicks. So for him to talk about us like that, as if we just watch one game, don't come back and try to understand what went wrong. I think that was wrong for him to say, to just make that assumption and just paint us all with a broad brush.
I totally agree with you. He did paint us all with a broad brush. I'm just wondering if it's hard to tell. It's hard to know if he really even understands how deep we go into things, especially here in the Knicks-Verse and Sports Vibes TV. Like we go deep into it. I mean, we analyze things from different angles. I was a Thibs supporter and defender for a very long time, because even last year, even when we were winning and he was coach of the year, there were many people who still didn't even like Tom Thibodeau. They still wanted him out, because they could see what was going to happen, or they felt it, and it has, to their credit. But I've defended him because I also understood that the situation that the actual franchise was in was so dire. I mean, I don't think we really get how screwed up the situation was before Leon and Thibs took over. We didn't have a direction. We were basically a laughing stock. You guys remember there was a hashtag LOL Knicks.
Yep.
So that's how bad things had gotten, that we needed someone with a real gravitas to really pull things together and literally drag us to a winning mentality. Now, that's something Thibs could do, and he did it last season. He deserves all the credit for that. And whether he was the key person or a key person in unlocking the Randall last season, or maybe that was just Randall playing for a contract and he spent the 9 months off during the pandemic shutdown to get himself into tip-top shape, which then we heard he did not do for this season. Now, whether he should get credit for that or not, that's debatable, but he still provided Randall with the lane for him to fill and take over and deliver. So all that he gets credit for. I was hoping that Thibs really had done that soul searching that he claimed he did, and I put out a whole video, the reinvention of Rose, Randall, and Thibs. I put it out last year. If you guys want to watch it, I mean, I was totally in praise of his ability to change, because it's hard. It's hard,
and they've all regressed. Now that you think about it, Randall, he kind of went back, took steps back. Thibs took steps back, and now Rose, he's injured, so by default he's taking steps back.
Yep.
And it's doomed the season, unfortunately.
Fred Katz, he tweeted this out Friday night right after the post game. A lot of Tom Thibodeau after the game about common misconceptions on the outside. Talked about people having opinions about the Knicks without studying them. Mentioned that you can't know what happens until you watch game film 2-3 times. And he's right. But guess what? We do.
Exactly.
We do. I watched the entire game yesterday. It was that good a game to watch. It was a really enjoyable game to watch. So then this is what's so it's unleashed this kind of like battle now on social media, on Knicks Twitter, between it's hard to even like grasp it and phrase it properly, but it seems like the Thibs defenders and revisionists, and then everybody else. So we have the traditional media reporters, which, by the way, I just want to say something about this. I think it's fine to have issues with these reporters not asking certain questions that you want them to ask. That's always been the problem. But we need them. Here's the reality of it. We need them. These guys are there day in, day out. They're not embedded, but they're there as close as the deepest access to the team and the franchise itself. They do know the game. They know the game very well. I mean, I've been reading Berman forever, and Popper's kind of newish, but he's also I respect him as well, as and several other reporters. And they have to play nice to some degree. You know, they can't constantly be dicks in the post games and stuff.
They don't want to lose their credentials.
Exactly. I mean, if you want
That's why you guys are tuned into the independent journalists.
Right.
You know, we don't have any ties to the organization, so we can speak truthfully.
Exactly. We fill that other role. We're there there to kind of keep everyone in check. You know, so I get it. So, you know, when Berman tweets out the 2021 Coach of the Year has grown weary of relentless second guessing, even though he's one of the biggest second guessers.
Exactly.
You know, so you can see how he's like playing both ends,
both
right?
sides. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why he's getting attacked on Twitter, man.
Yep. But I get it. So weary of second guessing of every minute of playing time he has dispatched this season, and he's not wrong. That's the line that just like, what? What?
I mean, George, can I give you some stats real quick?
Yeah, man.
So over the last 3 games, Obi has averaged 14.3 points and 8.7 rebounds, and also averaging 3 assists and only 0.7 turnovers. You look at Quick has averaged 16.7 points in 23.4 minutes, averaging 4 rebounds and also 4 assists. He's shooting 50% from the field and 90%, of course, from the free throw line and 42% from the 3-point line. Jericho Sims, he's not getting a boatload of stats, but if you look at his plus minus over the last 3, he's been a plus 9.7. It's another guy Thibs didn't want to get off the bench
total
earlier on this season. He's averaging 9.7.
What's the total plus? Because in plus minus, you can total them up too. Well, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I just got it from NBA.com. So he's averaging 9.7. So you look at all of these guys.
That's almost a 30 plus 30 in 3 games.
And you look at Deuce. He hasn't been putting up a lot of shots, but we're seeing the same efficiency we were seeing in the G League. Everybody was saying Deuce is just a G League star. He can't replicate some of those performances in the NBA. Well, he's not getting it when it comes to the total points, but he's been efficient. He's shooting 54.5% from the field, and he's shooting 55.5 or 55.6% from the 3-point line. So we're seeing these young guys produce, which is contrary to what Thibs would make you try to believe. We've been saying it time and time again, these guys should be key pieces in the rotation, and Thibs has had them buried on the bench, and it's the reason why we've gotten off to such a slow start. We started off strong, but it's a reason why we've slumped throughout the majority of this season.
We started off strong.
Yeah, 4-1, or was it 5-1? And then it just
5-1, but we nosedived. Yeah, here's just want to announce to you guys, we got started late. This is an important subject that I feel like we're a part of it, so we're going to keep talking about it. The game might even start, and we might even keep talking about
George, look, did you see what we surveyed 100 people just posted?
What?
No, further up. I don't care who Detroit starts.
Oh yeah, here we go. Julius Randle is back. Well, you said it.
Yeah.
You said it. Hey, look, you made the like the really like sober, compelling case for why he should start, and now you're all pissed at me.
Yeah, because sometimes you still hold out a little bit of hope, like fingers crossed I could be wrong, and boom.
Look, when I first started doing this, I had to make decisions about, okay, what's my tone going to be? What's my approach to this thing? And I write myself notes and stuff. And this was a note that I wrote a very long time ago. I don't know if you guys can read it. It said, It's not personal. It's just victories.
Put that back up, George. Oh, okay, cool.
What did you think it said?
No, I looked like the S didn't come out clearly.
I'm
wondering what it was.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
Yeah,
cool.
I was always one of those guys when he wrote signs. I ran out of board
space.
I was shit. I got to do the pencil first. I'm not here for my ego. I'm not here to be right. I don't care about that. I want to cheer for a team that is playing the best basketball that they can possibly play, with the ultimate goal being contending for a championship. I want to win a championship, but I know it's really hard. I know there's only one team that wins it every season. But if we're not even in the conversation, then we're nowhere. So that's what my approach is about with all of that. And then when you go back and consider what decisions Thibs has been making all season long, it just doesn't amount to victories. I didn't think it would amount to victories, and that's why we are now 32 and 42, 10 games under 500, and out of the play-in picture, out of the playoff picture. And I tweeted this as a response to Berm, and I retweeted it to him. And I write, come on, Berm, you know he's wrong, but I get it. Go ahead, make nice with the man. We got the receipts. His stubbornness is what's eaten away at the fabric of this team. Now he's trying to gaslight us. He spent more time talking about Taj's growth last night than Obi's. Need I say more?
He said Taj gives us good minutes at the 3. I'm watching it and I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Yeah, was there a moment?
I barely want Obi at the 3, but he's talking about Taj at the 3. This guy is something.
So he saw Obi as the 4 when Taj was on the floor?
I'm not sure. Honestly, he just was at the press conference saying Taj has given us good minutes throughout the season at the 3. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, Taj hasn't even given us good minutes at the 4. I mean, he got dropped by Trae Young. I don't see why he has to, go into Taj Gibson as if Taj Gibson has any more room for growth. It's crazy, man, listening to that guy talk sometimes.
Ashley Inc. Haven't read this whole thing, but it seems like it taps into something we've been talking. Thank you. The argument some have is that Thibs plays youth because RJ, Mitch, IQ, and Grimes got minutes. 1, youth to us means rookies, not physical age. 2, he ended up playing the rookies out of necessity. Very good points. Very good points. Yeah, to me, rookies definitely is youth. I would say a player 2 years.
Of both.
Yeah, it's both. I would say even second, like Obi
on a rookie contract.
On a rookie contract. Yeah. But
even Mitch, I count Mitch as part of the youth because he's on a rookie contract. He's younger than some of the rookies.
And also, he doesn't have the experience level of a lot of guys that came into the league originally anyway. So yeah. I mean, you know what he's trying to do? He's trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's trying to have it both ways. He's like, well, I play RJ. It's like, yeah, he was the number 3 pick. And you were probably told, hey, if you don't play him, we're going to be in a really bad. Yeah, we're going to be in trouble. And also, not playing him would be completely idiotic. I mean, it just would. You
can't justify it.
There is no justification for it. And Mitch, of course, you're going to play Mitch. Mitch was already like a really good defender and excellent. He already had the nickname Block Nest Monster before you even became the coach of this team. So, and you love rim protection. So it makes sense. But Mitch was a 3rd-year player when you got him. And now he's a 4th-year player. He's still young, but he's not like, he's not a rookie. He's not Jericho Sims or Obi in terms of playing experience.
But there's still a lot of room for development. That's why I include Mitchell Robinson. If there's still room for growth, room for you to get better as a player, then I'm going to include you as part of the young core. I think we look at Julius Randle, even though he might be, 27 and be young in comparison to the rest of the league. But I don't think he can, there's more growth for him as opposed to him just trying to fit in with the team. You look at some of the young guys we like, Deuce, Grimes, outside of the rookies, you've got RJ, you've got Mitch, you've got Obi. Those are all players that still have room to grow. So that's why I include them as part of the young core.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not, so it's a lot of it is by necessity too. So it's for him to take credit for that. However, I will give him credit for believing in Quickly. He definitely did believe in him. He has believed in him all along. Whenever he talks about it, even when Quick doesn't have a good game, even last season, he was praising him. He said, we want him to shoot. He's one of the best shooters in the game. He would talk about him that way. He's electric out there, his energy. And then they tried to turn him into a point guard over the summer, and you could see him after every summer league game. We pointed out here on our shows.
Yeah, I was there for summer league too, so I was able to see it in person.
Exactly. Yeah, that was great. And you ran into Mitch too.
Yeah, ran into Mitch on the flight back.
Yeah. And so you could see that he was like talking the strategy of the game afterwards, like dissecting it with quickly on the court, and that's like very valuable time. And it just, unfortunately, the quickly thing got off to a slow start in the beginning of the season, but he did believe in him, so he has brought him along. And I would say I would give Thibs credit for developing Emmanuel quickly. I will give him credit for that. However, that being said, it was this is a great example of why Thibs actually hurts himself. It was, using his own words, one of the best shooters in the game, he said about IQ last season. Electric. When he's on the floor, everybody gets better. Why didn't you just start him last season? Why? Why did we have to?
Not even last season. Last season was
I'm
great.
going back last
this
season. I know.
Why didn't you start him this season?
Well, then there's that. But I'm going back last season because real development. Look at what's happening with Memphis. Look at what's happening with even Detroit. They're playing better now. Why? Because the young guys get substantial minutes to fail and learn from it and get better. This whole argument, IQ's not a point guard, blah, blah, blah. We didn't have a point. We had Derrick Rose. That was it. That was it. And he was off the bench. So they start Derrick Rose and let IQ be the point guard for the second unit. Do something. Don't keep, dragging this team along with Elfrid Payton as a starting point guard. All right. Somehow we survived it. And we got the 4th seed. But then we did nothing in the playoffs. And then this season, as Keith, if you said, this season, when things went wrong with Kemba and he didn't want to start Derrick, he should have started IQ as point guard. We've been calling that for that. So, and what's the thing? Oh, he's got to earn it? Did Burks earn being the starting point guard of this team?
Right. You got to listen to Thibs talk about practice. I want to play the Allen Iverson clip for him next time he brings up practice. Talk about practice. Really, Thibs? Practice? We don't even go through full practices. What is he talking about? Because isn't it reported that we don't go on full 5-on-5s? Yeah. So what are they showing in practice?
There's no scrimmaging in practice.
Yeah. Anymore. So what is he talking about?
There is when there's 2 days in between games. And for all we know, it's light very light scrimmaging.
So walkthrough.
Yeah. Preseason, of course. Training camp, of course. But in season, there's no real scrimmaging or practicing. So that's ridiculous. Nick Fan tweeted this out. That was a strange press conference. Very passive aggressive, on edge. He feels the heat from upstairs after seeing how these kids have performed, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Basketball Robot, Dallas Amico, he tweeted out, the Knicks beat the best team in the East last night with Randall injured and RJ playing poorly on both sides of the ball. And they didn't just beat them. They shut them down, put their foot on their necks, and ended it. Don't tell me Thibs didn't have the talent to work with. That's what we're talking about here.
George, I want to comment on Nick Fan's tweet real quick. Because one thing that really stuck out to me was the fact that Thibs went out his way almost to kind of downplay what the young guys did in the first half. And you look at some of the things that have been circulating around the league, and you have Worldwide West saying Thibs is the one that's at fault for not playing these young guys earlier in the season. And he's the reason why we have not had a great year so far. So for him in the press conference to try and actively point out that the young guys didn't have the best first half, I think that's the reason some of these young guys don't really respond well to Thibs or haven't responded well to Thibs earlier on in the season. Because look at what he's doing. He's pretty much throwing them under the bus. He's like, yeah, they showed up in the 4th, but what did they do in the first half? You guys aren't talking about that, are you? Ha, ha, ha. Like, that was his I got you moment. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. So he's like always looking for a way to discount the young kids, their performance.
Yes.
When Nerlens, when it was plain to everybody that Nerlens just was not going to be effective this entire season, Sims should have been starting to get significant minutes.
George, stop saying effective. You mean available the entire season.
Available. And effective. He was, even when he was on the court.
Has he played double-digit games?
He's played like 20-something games this season.
Oh, it doesn't feel like it, man. I can't
know.
remember the last time I saw Nerlens. Last time I saw him, he had his head down.
It's crazy. I know. It's wild. But yeah, he's played 20-something games this year. And it was obvious that he didn't have it. So
Yeah.
that's when you start bringing along Sims. That's when you, yes. Look, the irony of it all is Thibs thought, oh, this is the cushy part of the schedule. We're talking about before that crazy stretch, the first West Coast trip that they took. When the Knicks actually had the easiest strength of schedule, I believe, right? The first 2.5 months of the year.
Yep. And those in the back half.
Yeah. And that was the time to accumulate victories. And Thibs, where he went was, oh, I got to play my guys right now. We're going to win these games. Ignore the future, ignore development. Obi, who is that guy? I don't remember him. Pretty much. Grimes literally got a chance just because of COVID and injuries. So he got a chance. And here's the thing. Here's the other thing. So this is interesting. And you can chime in with any other thoughts you had on here. So I made these notes. Obi gets his first start. How much did he score in his first start?
First start
or second start? Second start, 19 points.
Something like that.
Yeah. Grimes, first start. What did he do?
Oh, that was the game he went off, right? 27?
Yeah. He broke the rookie 7-point in one game record. 27 points or 28 points or something, and hit 7 3-pointers. Deuce, first start, 15 points.
15 and what is it, 7 or 15 and 6?
Yeah. That to me is earning it. That to me is proving it on the floor that you can play in this league. That's starting numbers. And yet you keep trotting out Burks and trying to force us to deal with
Fournier,
but Fournier finally came around
for 40 plus minutes. And I think Fournier is perfect at like 22, 23 minutes off the bench at that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to tell me like, this is the kids. And what else? There's been other great performances. Cam, didn't Cam have a great game when he
went off? What did he score? 16 or 17? That game when he went off on the Clippers?
Yeah.
Took over the second half.
Oh, the game that I was at.
Yeah.
The game here in LA. Yeah. But even before that, I thought he had another good game as well before that. The point is that from what we see, the young guys are actually the ones that play more the way that Thibs wants them to play.
Mm-hmm.
But there must be some weird dynamic going on with that Kemba benching that maybe because Thibs encountered a lot of backlash for that internally, that the team didn't like the way he benched him or treated Kemba. And so then maybe Thibs, who's already leans and is a little too easy on the vets compared to the way he is with the young kids, then maybe that made him even more so like that.
I think it's Worldwide West on his ass. The fact that Worldwide West is saying, play the kids. The reason we're not having a successful season is because the kids aren't being included in the rotation. And now we're seeing as they're being played more and more, this team looks better and better night in and night out. So I think Thibs right now is trying to cover his own ass, because if he continues to play these kids and we, go on a stretch where we're able to make it a little bit more competitive to get into that playing game, then there's going to be a moment where James Dolan might have a conversation with Leon Rose and say, hey, Worldwide West has been telling me some things. And it looks like once Thibs decided to listen to it, things changed immediately. So maybe we do have the wrong coach, and maybe we do need to revisit that coach, the head coach position in the offseason.
Beautifully said. See, you're bringing me to the finale of this point. Me, defender of Thibs, wanted him to be the coach originally, and even through the summer and watching what was happening with the roster that was aligned, and then when we got off to that start, after that 20 games, it made literally 0 sense the way that Thibs was aligning his rotations, who he was picking to start, and his minutes allotment. It did not equal victories to me. It did not equal that to me. And then it actually happened. It played out, and then shit got worse. Then we went 3-17 over a 20-game stretch.
With Burks as a starter.
Burks as a starter.
Terrible. Or as Charles says, terrible.
But the final straw, for me, the very final straw for me, was the Denver game. He left our most important asset, player, everything out on the court during a blowout after playing 50 something minutes against the 50 something minutes against how many minutes did he play the game before? Can't remember exactly, but he had already played 40 something minutes, and then it was against the Jazz the night before. What am I talking about? And then he still had him out on the court with 40 seconds left, and he sprains his ankle. And it just showed to me that Thibs is so stubborn and more concerned with his own survival as the coach of this team than he is for the franchise itself. And that's when I was like, that's it. Got to get him out.
Yep. Hit the nail on the head, George. He cares more so about his job security than, the long-term health of this organization. And that's trouble.
And the other part of that too is, of course, he wants to win, and that's great for us. But his own decisions have kept him from achieving his goal. The writing was on the wall. You knew when Kemba and Derrick Rose were the 1 and 2 in the depth chart of point guard, you knew they weren't going to end the season that way. We knew we weren't even going to get past January with that being the case.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? 30% of the season where we had not even. What was it? Maybe 10% of the season where we had Kemba and D Rose as the 1 and 2? And then only about 30 or 40% of the season with Kemba as the starter?
Something like that. Maybe I think 30%. Yeah. So you knew the writing was on the wall. So at that point, we're like, wait a second, I got Miles Deuce. I got a guy who was drafted for me, a guy who plays exactly the way I want a point guard to play. And you're not going to start bringing him along early on.
And
Ridiculous.
He's proven to be efficient when he's given minutes and given the opportunity to find some rhythm. And we haven't even spoken about Cam and him not getting Cam involved. And
then there's the Cam thing. You talk about the Cam situation, that whole dynamic.
Yeah.
That was another major nail in the coffin for me and Thibs being the coach of this team.
We give up a first round pick. We give up Kevin Knox. We bring in Cam, and Thibs does not find a way to get him out there on the court. He's a lanky 3. He's a big wing that can play defense, that can knock down the 3, and he's one of the only guys that can create for himself off the dribble without requiring a screen. And somehow Thibs couldn't find a way to get that guy involved in the offense and find some time out there on the court. It, to me, makes completely no sense, and it just proves that Thibs isn't trying to develop the guys on this roster to its fullest. He's just trying to put out the guys that he thinks might give him the best opportunity to win a game here or there. And even when he does that, we've seen that this team is well below 500, and the rotations that he is using haven't worked. So if those rotations haven't worked, why not at least pivot and put in a guy that has potential like a Cam Reddish? To me, that was just asinine of the coach to not try and get him a little bit more involved. And, now we're paying for it, because not only is Cam injured, we may also see Cam get traded in the offseason.
Yeah, the Cam thing, that was just ridiculous. When he asked for more patience. Patience for what? We're in the thick of it. We're in the middle of this season. We want to win games. We think Cam can help us win games over Burks. Over Fournier. Even Fournier was struggling at that time.
Actually, Fournier's been struggling on defense all season.
Defense all season, yeah.
So Cam right there is already a major upgrade.
Yeah. And then it's also looking at the future too. Balancing with the needs of the present with the needs of the future. And he's a lot of it too, I think, is stubbornness and maybe some ego. he's like, oh, well, I don't want to do that because
Well,
then
you
it looks
know it's
like
the ego. Look at the press conference, how he was speaking to Knicks fans as if we don't watch film, as if we don't watch the game more than once.
yes,
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it was. And you know what's interesting about the press conference, and I've watched it a couple of times. No one really asked him about social media to begin with.
He went on his own tangent.
He went and he opened it up, and then Berman got in there. He was like one of those bugs that get in your ear from the Amazon. He started chewing away inside. He got in there and he unlocked Thibs, and then someone else asked him another question. But Thibs is the one who wanted to go there on it. So I do think Thibs is just he's feeling the heat. He painted himself into a corner by refusing to give like a substantial amount of minutes and floor time to the young guys to learn their way through this. And then when he was forced to do it, they actually have responded, and it's made him look bad.
Yep. I want to see how the ball moves during this game because I'm watching it right now. The game is tied 2-2. And I just hope the ball doesn't stick in Julius Randle's hands because I think that'll be a major indictment on Julius Randle. And I think you're just going to hear more and more from the fans being upset with the way the offense runs when Julius Randle is in the game. I think somebody mentioned it earlier. Julius Randle is a talented player. I think the issue is the way the offense is run through Julius. If we're able to find a way to keep the ball moving, and Julius can still be effective. But with Thibs being an enabler and allowing Julius Randle the ball stop and just dribble for 15 seconds and then try to put up a contested shot, that's not a good recipe for success. And as long as Thibs allows Julius Randle to do that, we're just going to be spinning tires in the mud.
Yeah. It's interesting. We talked all about Thibs, the social media, coaching, the kids and everything. And we barely even talked about Thibs' enabling of Randle's bizarre, erratic behavior all season. Nail in the coffin number 3. He failed to remember, use their own words against them. Last year, when Randle was cooking, balling, he said he had that interview and he talked about why he wanted Thibs to coach, what he wanted from a coach, someone to hold him accountable.
Quit telling jokes. Somebody to hold him accountable.
Yeah.
James Dolan won't even hold him accountable. He's paying his fines and whatnot. Come on.
Yeah, but that's what Randle said. And so we haven't seen that this season. So he failed to hold Randle accountable this season, and Randle's behavior got even more and more erratic as it went on. And a lot of that is because I think just too much pressure was on Randle's shoulders, and he was dealing with some other things. And that's why when you have your lottery pick from the season before, Obi, waiting in the wings, hey, why not bring Randle's minutes down to 30 a game and give those other 18 minutes to Obi? And then who knows? There'll be nights when Obi plays, 28 minutes and Randle plays, 20 minutes. And that's fine. That's fine. We've seen so many times where there's been nights where Kawhi only played 21 minutes in games he was playing well.
You don't need it.
You don't need it because it's development. That's real development. Development is not, everyone's been hit with COVID or the dude blew out a hammy and now I have to play the kids. Now the kids are playing well. No, you don't get credit for that as development. That's not development.
George, man, RJ just got swatted and then Bagley just boofed it on Julius Randle.
It's going to be a fun game.
But yeah, that's not development, like you said, George. Him being forced to play these guys, I think that's not something that makes me comfortable with him as a coach, long term. Because how many years are we going to have similar situations like this, where we have, a guy waiting in the wings, and it's going to be because of some sort of, pandemic before he actually gets minutes? To me, I think it's just not how we should have our head coach. That's not the mindset I would want from the head coach. I think you hit it on the head earlier when you said you have to, as a head coach, you have to both prepare for the future as well as trying to make sure everything is copacetic in the present. And I think, Thibs, he's really not doing either or. Right now, he's got guys in the present playing out of position and devaluing them on the trade market. And then you've got young guys who he has not been put in position. He has not been put in position to succeed. So he's got two demerits on both of those fronts.
Bingo, right there. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. This has been it's been a great back and forth. Thank you so much for the chat. I will go back and reread these later when I rewatch this because there were some great conversations going on. I just wasn't able to focus too much. Yes, as usual, some really great stuff. Citizen X, good to see you. Adrian.
Oh my gosh,
reality.
Randall just threw up a contested three, bro. It begins.
Who threw it up?
Randall. He just jabbed. He did like 4 or 5 jab steps and just threw up a contested three.
I'm so glad that he watched Obi and how he worked with the offense and said, "Hey, maybe I can use some of that."
Yeah. But you see, Obi, you know, he was able to. What did he have? 6 assists and no turnovers. I forgot which game it was.
Yeah. Hey, IQ and Deuce. What, they only had 1 turnover together combined last game. Thank you, Geraldine. Thank you so much. Guys, been great. All right, we're gonna wrap this over. This is gonna turn into a watch along. or for me, it's a hear along. I get to hear.
Oh, don't worry, I got the visual.
Play by play.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're up though. That's one positive.
Yeah. I would imagine. I think I have a feeling that a lot of the backlash that Thibs was throwing out there was aimed at content creators like ourselves, like Knicks Fan TV, and others.
Well, you guys more than me. I'm very polite in my analysis. You guys beat them over the head.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably the harshest. I'm probably the harshest because that's what this is for. This is not. We're not. The way I look at this is like we're hanging out at a bar and we just watched the game and now we're going to talk. That's how I approach this stuff. Or this is the beers before the game.
Yep.
This the pregame is. Right. That's how I look at it. So I want to keep it real. Brian Ferreira, good to see you, man. Kali, Navit Preet Singh. You want to shout anybody else out? Before we sign
I want to give a shout out. You said Ashley Inc. Cully. I see him in the chat as well. Pay Paul 718. Oh my God, the same starting lineup, no energy and effort, and no handle Randall. So it begins. Canal, Ban Lawyer. Salute to all you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Citizen X.
I wish we could get to like the real truth of it all. I wish we could.
Or maybe one day it'll come out.
Yeah, a form of the truth always comes out. That is for sure. People always say the truth always comes out, but not necessarily. But a form of the truth does come out eventually, and then you can kind of unravel that and find the real truth in it. Yeah. But we did find out that they are watching, and they're listening, and they're reading. They hear us, and they don't.
And then they get pissed when we're right.
They don't like it. They don't like it at all.
Look how they deflect when they're actually proven wrong.
Yep.
It's like, wow, this guy with a camera and a mic in his office is out here telling me how to do my job. I know he's pissed.
And look, and I get it. Look, the world has changed. Look, let's go back to this slide here. I know I was about to sign off, but might as well complete the show in the right way here. Let's look at the traditional media guys. Here's the thing. Thibs came up in the 80s and 90s as a coach. The world was different there. Social media didn't even exist. Also, the ability for fans to watch games and rewatch them over and over again and dissect individual plays, it wasn't available to us. I mean, it was, but it was really difficult. But now you can literally watch every single play on NBA.com. You go through the play-by-play. You can analyze it all. You have guys that know their shit, like Keese, analyzing, breaking down film, breaking down the actual dynamics of what's happening on the court. Also, the ability to share your opinion is powerful. It's powerful, and it's something that just didn't exist before. The only ones who actually spoke for us were the beat reporters in the past and radio. But it wasn't fans. A fan will call in here once in a while, but the ability to spread what someone said and go viral just didn't exist like the way it does now. So Thibs, he's just not used to this type of second guessing. And it's probably something he's just going to have to get used to it, because we're not going anywhere.
Especially when he keeps making foolish decisions. Like starting Burks at point guard, when clearly Quick is a much better option at point guard. Ridiculous.
Clearly.
We're supposed to be happy with it as fans.
And you know what? And look, as someone who was a supporter of Thibs, I was like, okay, you're going to start him? All right, we'll see how these 10 games go. But by the 30-game mark, you could see it wasn't working. So then pivot. So even me, who was trying to be understanding to Thibs, it's like, come on, man. It's obvious. It's obvious.
Get it together.
Get it together. Well, again, the positive is RJ Barrett is immune to the Thibs bizarro dynamic, whatever you want to call it. RJ would have developed under any coach, because that's the kind of guy he is. His father was a really good college player and a pro, but I didn't really watch him as a pro. Rowan was excellent. I loved watching him at St. John's. I enjoyed watching him at St. John's. His his godfather is Steve Nash. The guy comes from a tremendous pedigree. His mom, I believe, was an athlete as well. They used to practice the post-game interviews and stuff when he was a kid. He's been trained for this moment, and a guy like Thibs wasn't going to disrupt that. But not all guys are like RJ. Some guys are slower developers, like Obi, historically slow developer. Some guys are much more sensitive
to critique.
It's hard.
Well, we see Thibs is pretty sensitive to critique. He's on here coming at us in the post-game conference.
Hey, sometimes people, they can't take it. They can dish it, but they can't take it.
Well,
but we can take it here into the Knicks-Verse, Sports Vibes TV. Thank you guys for watching this show. Unfortunately, the Knicks, we didn't get to the actual pregame recap, but that's okay.
It's all good. We had more important things to discuss.
We did have more important things to discuss. We did. Let's see here. We got some. I have to approve certain comments if I don't see them right away. Yeah, man. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this. Once again, my name is George, into the Knicks-Verse. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit that thumbs up button. We didn't even ask anybody to hit the thumbs up button the whole time.
Yeah. Just jump right into the topic, man. It was something that really needed to be discussed. We have to get it off our chest.
Yeah, man. Hey, Keith, thanks so much for joining me here, man.
You're welcome. No problem. Anytime.
Yeah, man. And also, don't forget to tune in tonight, the Sunday stream with Keith on Sports Vibe TV and Stephen Fox. The return of Foxy.
Yeah. Return of the Fox.
Check it out. And I'll be doing a post-game recap. It should be interesting. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in this game.
I think right now the Pistons are up. No, it's tied now, 12-12.
12-all. All right, good. Good. We didn't even say, I have a feeling we're going to win this game somehow.
I think we better win.
We better win.
We beat the Heat. Pistons, they're in full tank mode. They've got young guys, young talented guys, but I still think this team has enough to beat the Pistons. And wow, Julius Randle just missed a wide open three. But Mitch got the offensive rebound, passes it to RJ, who hits the three. Let's go.
Woo!
That's what I'm talking about.
There we go.
Knicks up 3.
There we go. There you go. You heard it here. Play-by-play by Geese.
Hey.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Peace out. Thank you so much for watching. And we will see you around the Knicks-Verse.